Welcome to Lake Placid, New York, a snowy Lake Placid, New York. We're here for the second heat of the IBSF BMW World Cup four-man event. It's the second four-man of the season. Hello, everybody. I'm John Morgan. I'm joined by Alana Myers-Taylor, a 6-month pregnant Alana Myers-Taylor. How are you feeling, Alana?
Feeling good. Excited to be here for these week's races.
And what'd you think of the highlights of the first run? I mean, these same cast of characters. Lochner, fourth yesterday, tied with his teammate Francisco Friedrich, and he did pretty good. Looks like the Germans might have changed runners overnight.
You know, you could tell the Germans were not happy with their performances yesterday. They expect to be in the medals every single race, so they're really going to fight for them here.
Well, here's Francisco Friedrich, tied with Lochner for fourth off the podium. Not too often you see Germans not on the podium, and yesterday was a little perplexing. It was warm yesterday, and talking to the German coaches, they said they were going to probably change runners, but then it became cold overnight. Snowstorm moved in, but Friedrich's in a third spot. Well, their second spot, they're chasing down this Justin Cripps. Well, all Cripps has done is won the event last year, won the event yesterday, and he won the first heat today. Cripps is pretty remarkable what he's done with this sled and this team in a little short period of time.
He is really making up a start deficit at the top of the track and really gaining time down through the bottom portions.
Cripps got a 10/100ths lead on Friedrich. Lochner's right there. Hunter Church from the United States, pretty good run from the kid from Katyville, New York. Oscar Skibermanis, yesterday's silver medal team. He's back in fifth. And the guy at 17th, Benny Mayer, he won a World Cup medal yesterday, third, but they had problems at the start. Their guy fell on the sled. He's in 17th. He's got a bib change. One of his athletes is out. So, look at the wind. I mean, the conditions here are frightful. Look at the wind blowing and colder. I mean, yesterday was mellow. I wouldn't call it mellow today, and it will affect the competition, correct?
Definitely will affect, even at the start, even though it's mostly covered. Going to prevent a lot of snow from coming in, but can't prevent that wind. So the pilots and the athletes definitely want to make sure they're not taking off into a headwind.
Have you ever noticed athletes that really struggle with the weather and other athletes that just, it's irrelevant?
It's all a mindset. You know, you've got to realize that everybody is out there competing in the same conditions. No one's got it easier than anyone else, so just go in there and do the best you can.
Well, they were wandering around yesterday in their warm-up, so they got the full parkas on. There's the Chinese. There's a lot of them. There's Skibermanis, the young Latvian, second yesterday, but only in fifth place today. So he's going to have some challenges in the second run to move up.
When you have an Olympic gold medalist on your team, like Oscar Milbars, take a year off. It's really up to the next pilot to step up, and he's really done a good job for that Latvian program Oscar Skibermanis has.
Trickle will come down first. Skabov from the United States second. It's the worst to first. 20 sleds in the competition. Last couple days, Friday's skeleton event here that the Russians swept. It was beautiful, warm conditions, and in the Adirondacks, boy, the weather can change on a blink of an eye, and it has overnight here. But, that's what you got to be prepared for. And here's our Austrian first sled, Marcus Treichel. He's going to sit in the sled, 10th yesterday, or 9th yesterday in the four-man competition. A good result for him, but he struggled last week in the two-man, finished 21st in both because of the injury, and looks like it caught up to him again.
It's early season, so he's really looking to try and get back healthy to have a good second half going into World Championships.
And just getting points. That's so valuable to have points. Points determines where you start in the World Championships, and you need to get to the bottom safely, and that's all he's doing here.
And he definitely wants to avoid that skid out of curve 3. Going to cost him a little bit of time. Going to try and clean it up through the middle sections here in the Devil's Highway.
Yeah, he was 9th yesterday, which was a pretty good result. Austrians with 2 sleds in the top 10. He's came from Luge. He's a soldier in the Austrian army from Innsbruck.
And part of it is just having that confidence that you know how to drive this track, regardless of your start time. Coming into next year's World Championships on this track, being confident in your driving abilities. Putting together a pretty smooth run down here. Not any major mistakes. He's going to be happy with some improvements after the first
through and down, no crashes. In Lake Placid, 55.82. 400's better than his first run. So, but of course he's sitting in the sled. The 27 start. Well, he had a 30 start in this run. And hey, through and down and home for Christmas for the team, Marcus Treichel.
home for Christmas, and we wish you the best of recovery from that injury.
Yeah, you see how tenderly he's getting out of the sled. That's think that might look like a foot injury.
Here he comes around 3, has that skid, does a little bit too much work on the exit of 3, causes a skid.
And this is, you'll see this picture a lot. One of the most definitive pictures in the whole World Cup Tour is that chicane shot. You see the sled coming at you. You can look at the aerodynamics. You can look at the runners. We'll keep our eyes on that. And that will be the pivotal part of the track for somebody to win this competition. Jeff Gadbois from Vermont. Chris Avery, Michael Fote, and Dakota Lynch. Dakota Lynch is in the U.S. Army. One of the WCAP. You never thought about being the WCAP?
Oh, I definitely did, but not for me. But these WCAP athletes, really great representative for our country in both the sleds and in the military.
So Jeff, 5:24 start. Yesterday he was disqualified for some technicality of the equipment in the sled. 5:27 start, 300 slower. Skid.
Little skid out of curve 1. That's not where you want to start your run. He's going to have to do something to make up some time at the bottom of the track.
Michael Fote is the brother of Chris Fote, who won a silver medal with Steve Holcomb at the 2014 Winter Olympic Games in Sochi. And this is the sled that Steve Holcomb drove. This is the Night Train 2.
He's also in attendance today watching his brother perform. This is the second of 3 Fote brothers that have competed recently in the sport.
So Gadbois with a big lead, 3,700s. Doesn't have the same speed as Treco. As you get to the bottom part of the track, everybody has a chance to get that good speed. 3,500s, he's starting to pick it up a little bit now. His first heat time was a 55.66. This time's 55.69. 400 slower, 2 very consistent runs. Look at Mike Conn and his boys. Michael, there's a couple future bobsledders there.
Oliver and Max, always out here on these races to enjoy the races.
So Gadbois, hopefully he goes through inspection and makes it today. Milton, Vermont kid.
Once again, he'll just really be looking to get some points today after yesterday not receiving any World Cup points.
Watch the number 2 guy, how he has to wait for the number 3 and 4 guys to get in behind him, and then he gets down and the arms come up, and choreography on ice. You say ballet on ice, right?
Ballet. A few times I'll refer to guys this big doing ballet.
It's also a Chinese fire drill sometimes, like we saw in the first heat today and yesterday with Hunter Church, people following in the sleds. It's not easy to run across that ice and jump in those sleds. So here's our next athlete from Grenoble, Roman Heinrich. He's got a bib change in the sled. Looks like Laporte is the new guy in.
The French team have really done a great job working to build this program, working to use that track in the Plan, France, to get this program back on board.
Now this guy's an engineer, and he's getting some good support, some engineering support for his equipment. He's a real student of the game, only started driving 3 years ago. And, push bar, mishap. That's not what you want to be doing around the first curve, trying to get that push bar in. Any movement like that costs you hundreds of seconds at the top. Ooh, late there.
Slight skid there, had to correct with his runners, but trying to come through these lines nicely through 7 and 8. Ooh, rough entrance into maiden.
Ooh, watch out! Oh, he almost rolled it into that curve.
Rough entrance into 7, 8, 9.
That engineering firm he works with is on the nose of the sled, Bontas. So he's a student of the game. He's a good athlete, finished second in this 2-man event here last year. So he's got the talent with the eyes and hands, but as you know, Alana, driving a 2-man sled is not the same as a 4-man.
He's gaining back a little bit of time, and yes, that lack of experience driving a 4-man is just going to take time before he's really comfortable in that sled.
55.72, 2,000 slower. Heinrich takes the lead over the United States team, USA 3, Jeff Gadbois' team. You can see the Bontex on the front of the sled. You know, engineers, but look at him, he can, it's not easy getting in, it's just as hard getting out.
Just as hard getting out, especially when the sled's not moving anymore.
So Roman Heinrich, well, he keeps getting his experience, but he was close to crashing right here. Look at this.
Here's the section he had a little bit of rough trouble on. Really struggled to get off curve 8.
No, he almost rolls in. He almost rolls the sled in. Look at that, out airborne in the back. That's the closest we've seen in 2 days in that spot.
And that spot in particular, with these ice conditions, can be particularly tricky.
Next up, yesterday's bronze medalist in this event, Benjamin Meyer. He's got a replacement. Marco Rangel is out, and Steven Sasha is in.
Benny Meyer is one of the greatest students of this game. Really started at a young age, and of course comes from a great bobsled family. Just doing everything he can to learn about the sport and gain every hundredth possible.
His brothers were competing in Skeleton, one of them last weekend, or on Friday. So, but their mishap at the start, their number 2 guy fell in, and it was that cost them all their speed at the top. He's back in 17th place. He could put a good run down like he did in the second heat yesterday when he had the 3rd best time and ended up with the bronze medal. He could live in that leader's box for 5 or 6 sleds here.
Little high on that exit, but manages it really nicely coming around curve 12. Not taking that hit, which is going to help him accelerate down in the bottom portions of the track.
His wife Elizabeth back in Innsbruck. She's expecting his child any day. Tomorrow, the next day, he's trying to get home to see the birth of his first child. Look at the time, half second better. He's going to live in that leader's box for maybe 6-8 sleds. 55-15. His first heat time, 55-51. Now the Austrian coaches, Gerhard Reiner and Wolfgang Stumpfer, are happy about that. They weren't so happy in the first heat when they saw their athletes fall on the sled at the start.
Benny's definitely going to be happy that as well. But you know, that's part of racing 4-man. Part of it is you have mishaps sometimes and how you recover from heat to heat. Here we see Benny coming around 5. Really smooth lines, not too trouble there, coming around 6. A little bit of articulation of the sled. A little high there, but he manages just fine. We've seen a lot of sleds today take those 2 taps.
That would have put him up in 7th place in the first heat, only 300ths out of 3rd. So that's how tightly bunched it is for the medal positions. First of 2 Korean sleds here. This is Suk from Korea. He suffers with the start time, 18th best start in the first run. But he's in one of them young athletes that's out here. I like to say this is a foreign track to him, but the Koreans, they birthed their program here. He was 14th in this event last weekend in Lake Placid, 17th at the World Championships, 18th yesterday, 17th yesterday. So how long does it take? How long did it take you to feel comfortable in a 4-man sled when you went from the 2-woman to the 4-man?
You know, it's different for everybody, but now with the competitiveness of this field, it's really an 8-year process in order to feel really confident in this 4-man sled. You can get down within a couple of years, but to feel like you compete at the highest level, it's an 8-year process.
How long did it take you to master the 2-person sled?
2-person sled with my start times. Luckily, I was able to win medals fairly quickly within my career, but 4-man's a whole different animal.
The marquee sport of the sliding sports is 4-man bobsled. 36 back. Well, we expect this. We expect Meyer to move up 4 or 5 spots here with that run. That might be the best run of the second heat because Meyer went early. The track gets slower and all the sleds keep coming down. Meyer's time could be the best time of the heat.
So Suk had a couple of driving errors, not too many mistakes, but that really just goes to show you how good Benny Meyer's run really was.
And Suk just slips one spot.
And the Korean program is really rebuilding. They had a big build-up leading into the Pyeongchang Olympics and really just rebuilding going into the next quad. Here he's coming around 3. Hard steer off of 3. Going to send him into a slight skid. Settles the sled a little bit. And here he is then again on the exit of 12. Doesn't take that tap, but still has a little bit of trouble. The chicanes, the standard 2 taps we've seen with most of the sleds.
Well, they congratulate. That's Marcus Sommer. The Benny Meyer's in the lead. 5 sleds down, 15 to go. Our first of a couple Chinese sleds. Yin is up next. There's Pierre Luters. Look at that. There's the Olympic gold medalist from 1998 for Canada. Multiple Olympic medals, multiple world champions, and he's the leader of the Chinese program. At the bottom of the track is a guy named Andre Lange. He won 4 gold medals. So between Luters and Lange, over a 4 Olympic period, they won 5 of the 8 gold medals. and they're both heads of the Chinese program. Figure that out.
And it just shows you the blue-collar nature of this sport, where you have Olympic gold medalists moving sleds on the ice for the Chinese team.
I wonder what the language is like, though, huh? How do they deal with the Chinese athletes come from all over the country.
I've seen Andre do a lot of work to really do whatever it takes to get to these Chinese athletes and make sure they understand what's going on. I even saw him drawing in snow before to try and communicate the lines. Down 100th of a second. He's really going to have some solid lines down here. Ooh, lots
watch
of cross.
out! Oh, there's a second sled that almost rolled in. That's very dangerous. I wonder if the profile on those corners changed because the 2 consecutive sleds had problems there we haven't seen in 2 days.
9 could be a really difficult curve, and if you're slightly off, you could be on your head in a minute.
So this looks like the second best time, unless he finds some mistake here in the uphill section. 2200's back, still second. But Benny Meyer's time is going to be tough to match for these 6'8 sleds here. 55, 52. We had a 55.38 in the first run. Only 1400's difference. But this young Chinese athlete, learning curve, Jin, remember the name. 15th best start, you know, and it's where they're finishing, 12th, 15th places.
Shaking his head as he gets out the sled. You know he's got to be thinking about that middle section of the track.
Well, I bet you these kids a couple years from now are going to fill out their uniforms a little bit different, too. They're going to be in a lot more weight rooms than what they've seen in their lives. Remember, this is late, and this is, oh, have you ever experienced that, Alana? Ever rolled over in there?
Never rolled over, but definitely experienced getting some air in there. Not a comfortable feeling at all in a 4-man. Look at that low aerodynamic
Look at
profile.
his eyes. Yeah, he's good. Those guys, they're technically proficient for being so new in the sport, but look who they're being coached by. And here's their second Chinese sled. This is Xiao.
Once again, for these Chinese sleds too, these tracks are a little bit more familiar. They spend time here in March and April trying to get trips. This is really going to help them get some valuable points going into the European half.
Third best velocity around the first curve with the second best start. Boy, I think I see the number 2 guy's shoulders up in there, and I'm surprised because Langen and Luters would know how to fit people in the sleds. 700. Ooh, that looked a little late there.
Had a little bit of problems in curve 7, but smoothed it out. Let's see if he can get a slingshot out of Shady.
He's going to need it. He's a kilometer down. He's only got a few hundreds to play with. Now it's the red numbers. We said that we thought Mara might live in there for 5, 6, if not more sleds. 600's back, skid into the take-on to 17.
That skid through the chicanes definitely will help him cause coming through these uphill sections of the track.
But he's trying to beat his teammate. When he doesn't, he loses to his teammate by 700, so they reversed it. His teammate was in front of him, Jin. Xiao now falls behind him. China, you know, in the last 10 years, Korea and China was always the Japanese. You know, they had the Sapporo Olympics in 72, the Nagano Olympics in 98. But the Japanese never embraced the European, bringing the European coaches and technology to the table. And here's these 2 countries, and great for launching the sport in Asia, you know, with the Beijing Games coming up. And I'll tell you now, these people have come very far, very fast in this sport.
That just really goes to show you the strength of hosting an Olympic Games, and I'm excited to see how the Italian teams will continue to grow going into 2026 Olympics as well.
Oh, the Cortina, boy. So the Chinese are throwing down the successful descent. Next up top of the track, our friends from Monaco. Rudy Rinaldi. He's 5:13 start. Good story here of these 4. They were the leaders at the end of the first heat in last year's event, but crashed in the second run. Everybody in the mountain was rooting for them to win their first ever 4-man medal. And so this is an accomplished young driver, but as we pointed out in the first run, he's got a damaged foot. He's got a special shoe he wears.
He's definitely having a little bit of trouble in the upper section of the track. Not going to help his cause with a little bit of deficient start time as well. He's coming through these middle sections of the track looking like he has no problem, but he's going to have to continue to build speed through these lower sections.
Good sign. He was 400s back and then 400s back at the next clock. Let's see if he can get the good speed. challenge Benny Meyer. Best speed, 1100's back though, I don't know. We've seen some people eat up some deficiencies, but now he's falling farther back. So he's going to probably maintain his position as second. Yes, ahead of both Chinese sleds. Benny Meyer and the Austrians. There's Bruno Mangeon, the world champion for France, who coaches both France and Monaco. Bruno won his world championship in '99. He won a world or an Olympic medal, a bronze medal at Nagano in '98. Some coaches with some pretty good pedigree, still hanging around the sport. Huh?
And that's the thing. It's people who compete in the sport have so much passion. They continue to want to stay around and support these athletes.
And knowledge. How much knowledge?
So much.
You know, and you rely on that when you come in the sport. There's little intricacies about this sport. When you're dealing with hundreds of seconds, runner selection, wind tunnel advice. There's Boris Van, somebody you don't want to meet in a dark alley. We move on. Christoph Hofer from Germany. Salzer, Hammers, and Schneider fill out his team. Not getting great starts, but they get down the track. We talked about him in the first heat. He's a guy that he came from luge, and he says he can sleep anywhere, anytime, any place. And you like that fact because that means he's calm and collective.
And it allows him to recover maximally from every single race. So you got to imagine, if he could do that, he's got a good advantage going into today.
How important is a short memory in this sport?
Very important. You've got to remember from curve to curve, you're making different decisions at over 90 miles per hour in some cases. You've got to be able to recover.
So he's Germany 3. They all go back. They don't have really a Christmas break. They had to go back and have their trials. Right now, Francisco Friedrich is the only named German to the World Championships in Altenburg, so he'll be one of 5 sleds vying for 2 spots. And boy, that'll be some competitive racing there. 700's back, top speed. Boy, rough take on. You saw those heads snap. 900's losing more time, so Benny Meyer gets somebody else. So Meyer is continue his move up the leaderboard. I said 5. Well, he is gone through the 5 right now. Yep, that's the 5th sled he's picked off. You know, and how many more sleds can he live in that leader's box?
Once again, that's really just a testament to the mistake that cost him so much time in the first run and the corrections on the second run.
Yeah, he was a bronze medalist yesterday, and then they made the mistake at the start. Well, this is a mistake here out of curve 1,
Pretty big
right?
skid out of curve 1, going to definitely cost you some time.
This is a much better 3, but to see the back runner flop off the curve again, he hasn't got through curve 3 in any one of the 4 heats in the last 2 days.
Almost makes it through here, but has that slight tap going to curve 17. Does a little bit of correction and causes the sled to come back up on 17.
Transition was rough on 17. Okay, now we have our team check. Dominik Dvorčík, Dominik Succi, Jan Sindelar, Jakub Nosek. Struggling with this track. He's a very capable driver. Good start team, 7th.
The Czech team is one of the great teams to follow on Instagram during the summer. They're always working hard, training together, and got some really good training techniques.
The IBSF Summer Congress was held in Prague. Beautiful city, great meetings. They did a great job. The Czech Republic did hosting that conference. Dominik just doesn't like the track. 15th last year in this event. Here he is in 12th in today's competition. You know, so he just hasn't figured out this track yet. 12th yesterday. He was tied with Andrianov yesterday.
So he's coming through these key portions of the track, really going into shady, goes in a little late, trying to get that speed going in the bottom half.
Good speed though in the exit of shady, better than Meyer. 700's lead. Let's see if he can hold that.
It's really going to come down to what he's able to do in these chicanes.
Down to 600s, 132.9 is better speed, but it's close. Ooh, late there.
Having a little bit of trouble in 17, staying on a little bit too late.
Too close to call, right to the 100th. 5. Whoa, give him some credit. He had a good bottom half, but he was late there in 17. So Benny Meyer, 5 sleds we thought he'd pick off. He did. Dominik Dvorčík, good run. But boy, he was late. But, you know, let me ask you this question. You don't want to steer, And it looked like he didn't steer down there in 17, 18. Is that a dangerous line? Or?
The less steering you can have, the less friction. As long as he's on the right line and steers at the right time, he can get away with it. And clearly, he did.
This is up top at 3. Boy, that bottom front runner on us, the right, really dug in with the pressure. But here's the 17. This is what I was talking about. What do you do here? Just say, I'm not going to steer through here?
He just stays on the curve a little bit too long. You kind of have to let it ride over into curve 18. And as soon as you get to that L in Lake Placid, steer the sled down.
Hey, he did great in the bottom. Dominic, Merry Christmas. It's over for you. Off to the tracks you're familiar with. Now we move on. Yeonjung Won, our Olympic silver medalist from Korea.
Gotta love those gold push bars, though. They sure do stand out.
Gold bunks. This is the same sled he drove at the Olympic Games. I asked him about, do you think about upgrading it? He looked at me and said, why? And he says, I love this piece of equipment. Look at how he got around too, but that caused a skid.
Slight skid up there, skid up here too.
Yeah, did he drive around curve 2 like that and not let the corner just take him through?
Definitely a lot of driving going on here, maybe some overdriving and causing the sled to do a little different skids throughout these curves.
Well, he's only got 300s to play with on Dvorak. It's 100th now in the negative. Gonna need the better speed down here to overtake Dominic Dvorak.
Gets on to 14 a little bit early.
Second best speed, down 4. I don't know if he's gonna be able to come back. But we saw Dvorak with some beautiful lines down here just now and manufacture some time. I don't think so here. No, third best time, 55.39, 1,000 slower than his first run. He drops 2 places. Benny Meyer picks off someone else. So not a good weekend for our Olympic silver medalist from Korea.
Once again, part of this early season is just figuring out the right combination, the right runners, the right equipment setups to go into later in the season and really put together some big performances. Coming off of curve 12, you see that sled articulate going into curve 14. He was really early onto this curve, but he does a really nice job on this exit to smooth it out. Only takes that 1 hit going into 17. We've seen most sleds take 2. He does a really nice job recovering there.
Well, he can finish no worse than 11th. So yesterday he finished 15th. So we improved. That's all you want to do. Come out and improve. Move on. Michael Vogt from Switzerland. Cyril Beer. Silvio Weber. Oliver Geiger. Don't get good starts, but they got a little Swiss magic on the bottom part of the track. He's got good speeds, and he does some pretty good making up as he goes down. But the start, he's going to suffer here. 17, he had the 16th best start in the first heat, so probably a 20. 18, only 100th worse. It's velocity, look at the speed velocity on the left. That's how you get in the sled, get around. Of course, he didn't have the best start. In fact, he's got the 8th best start so far. The next 6 sleds are going to beat him at the start.
Now it's really about gaining that time down the track. A little rough transition off the exit of 6.
Yeah, he just did pretty good because he went from -1 to -2, and it should have gone the other direction. Here's +2, 114.2. Not the speed Dvorak had. They've only got a few hundred separating them, but here comes the green numbers. This is the Swiss magic you talk about, the Swiss. Great results on not only this track, but the track next door.
He's just putting together a really nice run at the bottom portion of this track.
1980 Olympic Games, Eric Scher, the legendary Eric Scher, won the gold medal in 2-man bobsled. The Swiss tradition continues here. Michael Vogt takes the lead. Won 55.26 in his first run and knocks off a... Look at the snow coming in.
It's only getting worse out here, which hopefully won't affect the race too much, but it's definitely picking up pace.
Yeah, yesterday people were almost in their shirt sleeves, almost 50 degrees up here in the Adirondacks, and today the weather changed quickly, as it can. Michael Vogt 6th in the race yesterday.
Hit twice before Corfer, not the ideal line, but this exit of 12 was really nice to allow him to get some speed down in the bottom sections of the track.
Can do no worse than 8th. He could pick up a couple spots. That was a good run. Okay, the Swiss have completed their 2 weeks in Lake Placid. Vogt Gonna go back to some familiar tracks. Okay, now after our first of 3 Russian teams. Boy, Russians are pretty good. This is Andrianov. Very experienced. 5th place in the World Cup last year. Bronze medalist on this track last year. Not so good yesterday.
He's really looking to try to get up into the top 6 today.
Well, he's 12th yesterday, and again, he was in the top 6 every single event last year. His worst finish was a 6th. Everything else was 5 and 4s, 3s, 4th at the World Championships. So for him to be back at 12th, the Russians just maybe weren't ready for this first World Cup of the year. Very experienced driver. 5th best start to date.
Now he's coming through Shady. He really wants to make sure he carries that speed down the bottom portions. Hits a little bit on the exit of Shady. Not a bad exit of 12, but now it's onto the chicanes.
Russians have a lot of success on this track. Go back 2004-05 with Zubkov. I think it was the first ever Russian gold medal on this track. Best speed. This will be the leader. So Andrianov goes from 12th place. He can do no worse than 7th. The Swiss, they go pack their bags. Back to Europe.
Big improvements from yesterday. He's going to be much happier about this result.
Yeah, there was a lot of long faces in the Russian camp yesterday. They didn't get anybody in the top 10.
Here's the start. We have 4 guys getting into the sled as smoothly as possible, and that choreographed sitting down. Through Shady 2, he's a little bit higher on the exit, but controls it down nicely. Takes the tap going into curve 11, but is able to come around and have a really nice 12.
Track is clear.
Another Russian sled coming up. Alexei Stolnev, Moscow guy. He didn't compete last year. Been around for 10 years. Very familiar with this track. 5:12 start in the first run, the 10th best start, so 5:12 start with everybody else's times we've seen, 5:11, 100 slower. The velocity, the best. That means they get in the sled perfectly.
It's a race within the race, definitely coming down and trying to top his teammate here.
Yeah, they're pretty close. They're 600s apart, so it's 1100s. Now, if things are going well, that should go out to 13 or 1400s here in the entrance to Shady. And it's got out to 12. It's dropped 100th. Speed about similar to his teammate.
Avoids that hit off the exit at 12, going to help him down in the bottom portion of the track.
First, 133.6 speed. He's got 1100s in the bank, so he's maintaining his pace. 1100s. This will be the leader. So Andrianov, Stolnev over Andrianov. Russians, Andrianov can only wave. Again, Andrianov, bronze medal in this event last year. He gets knocked off by his teammate who wasn't here last year. That race within a race amongst the countries.
He's definitely going to be happy with that result.
Yeah, Russians are 6th and 7th, no worse.
Coming off of curve 5 here, you see the sled articulate a little bit of rough exit. Same on curve 6. In order to have the fastest lines, you really want to try to be smooth through the Devil's Highway. Coming around curve 8, a lot of cross into curve 9, but the sled's able to settle nicely.
Oh, saw some heads moving there. Alexei from Moscow. First of 2 U.S. sleds. Up next, Cody Basque from Whitehall, New York.
Cody Basque, who I'm sure girlfriend is watching from Whistler. She's on the U.S. luge team.
Blaine McConnell, Adrian Adams, Christopher Horn, the decathlete from the University of Massachusetts. We have a hold on the track. Hold on. Nope, they cleared it. They like this Chris Horn, don't they?
Chris Horn has been an outstanding find for Team USA. He's really excited to see what he'll do moving forward.
So they had a 5:10 start, the 5th best start. Impressive. Get in, get down. Number 2 guy waits for the 3 and 4 in. Good efficiency there. 5.7. Best speed, best velocity. Cody suffering with some hamstring issues.
Cody, one of the drivers that sits the lowest in the sled, really has a great aerodynamic profile in that sled. Only 100th up, but having smooth lines here, so he's really going to try and use his home field advantage to try and pick up speed at the bottom of the track.
It's got that visor on. You wear a visor like that?
Not as tinted as that. Cody really wants to make sure he has a lot of contour and can really see the lines on the white ice of the track. He's still maintaining his lead, having really smooth lines down to this bottom portion.
Best speed, though. That's not a good sign, and he's even with the Russians. Now the question is, he might fall. Only 200s. Hey, he could find that fast line and still get it back. It's going to be close. No. Drops one spot, 55-14. That's exactly the same time he had in the first run. So no worse than 7th for Cody Basque. 6th yesterday in the competition.
Drops a little bit behind the Russians, but he's definitely going to be happy to get through these races with that injury.
Hey, I'm impressed with the start. They've got the best start so far, 5:07. Couldn't bring it down on the time he needed. Stolnev beat him.
Coming through Shady, he's a little high on the exit, on the entrance, has to correct a little bit more than he'd like. Costs him a little bit of time down there. Coming around 11-12, he's driven this track more than most people. Started as a junior, nice smooth exit in curve 12. Just want to shout out Rania, Blaine's daughter, who's actually Blaine's daughter back in Iceland. Only a couple months old. I'm sure she's excited to watch her father compete.
Stolnev from Russia's got the lead. We have the top 5 sleds yet to come. Welcome back to Lake Placid. John Morgan with Alana Myers-Taylor. Final 5 sleds of this 4-man competition. Kiebermanis from Latvia. He's the silver medalist from yesterday, silver medalist from last year's event, and silver medalist in the World Championships. But today, in this race, he finds himself in 5th place. Going to need a really good run to challenge for a medal.
A 5:02 start was a good way to start it off. He's gaining time down the track, and let's see if he can string together a good middle section to gain that speed.
Former decathlete, professionally, he's a firefighter.
Coming around the exit of 11 into 12, Voigt's taking that hit a little early on to 13, coming through the chicanes.
4,200s lead, huge speed. This is a statement. Put a good run down and get in the leader's box and hope the other people can't match your time. So the good run, 54.68. That's way faster than his first run. There's Sanders Prusis, the first ever winner on this track when it was the Goodwill Games in 2000. His coach, 54.68, 32. He just went 4,400s faster in his second run.
You can definitely tell he wasn't happy with his first run, really worked hard to make some moves for the second one.
Oscar's Kiebermanis posting the fastest. That would have given him the lead with that time. Wow.
Here he is coming around curves 11 and 12. Comes out a little bit of trouble, but not too bad on this exit.
Wow. So the track still got some speed left. Far from the track record, but that's the conditions. Okay, our next United States team, this is USA Hunter Church from Cadyville, New York. Josh Williamson from Lake Mary, Florida. James Reed, he's from Garmisch, military guy. Kylie Wilcox is from Tampa. When I say military guy, his parents were in the military. And James, a 5-year veteran of the sport. And big heat, Hunter Church, 4th place. Challenging for a medal. Got a lot to do. They're going to chase down Kiebermanis, though. Start.
Little bit of trouble with the 2 guy at the start, 5:11.
So he's already behind the 8 ball, if I can say that. 8th best velocity. Remember, yesterday Hunter went from 6th to 11th because his push bar broke and he fell on the sled. Let's see if he had a great first run. 2,700s down. You know, he knows the track. Had great speed in the first run, but boy, he's going to have to be perfect to get rid of that 3,200s now. Speed, excellent. as you'd expect that he had some of the top speed in the first run on the bottom.
He's driving some really smooth lines, really putting together a nice run. But
Here
that
he comes.
mishap at the top had to cost him.
Yeah, good best speed, but he's still a third of a second off the pace. Still challenging for a top 5 though. Wow, hey, look at it. He came back 55.01, 55.11. He went 0.10 faster. Kiebermanis, he had the gold medal run so far of this run. So Hunter Church beats his teammate, Cody Basque. So no worse than 5th for this young athlete from Katyville, New York.
A big recovery from yesterday's result. When he had that problem with the push bar, he's going to be much happier with that. Watch the 2 guy get in the sled. He looks like he gets a little hung up.
There's a little bit of a slip there.
Not ideal going into the sled. You really want to make sure to maximize that load velocity.
So he got beat by 0.09 at the start by Kiebermanis, only by 32 at the bottom. So he outdrove Kiebermanis. Better start, he'd be right there. Not that he's not, he's in 5th. No worse than 5th. Hey, you listen, there's 3 sleds to go. Anything can happen. Kiebermanis, the leader. He's on the left. Now at the top of the track, Johannes Lochner, Florian Bauer, Christoph Weber, Christian Rasp. This young athlete from Berchtesgaden, he lives about a mile from the track in Königssee. His uncle Rudy won a gold medal at the World Championships in Altenburg in 1991. Look at the holes in the push bar. That's just to get weight out of the sled, right?
Any little ounce you can. If you're overweight to get out of the sled, you're going to make it count.
4.97 start. He had a pretty good first run. Good speed on the bottom.
Nice smooth lines at the top of the track. Looking to go in the Devil's Highway and keep that start speed.
This is for a medal. And boy, he's only 1,600s ahead of Kiebermanis with a start 500s better. I don't know, he should have been farther out. It's down to 14. Speed, though, is excellent.
He drops out of Shady. Not the fastest line, but he needs to pick up some time here.
1,500s to play. Next clock will tell it. The speed, 6th best speed, down to 11. This is going to be close. Kiebermanis was clean down here.
He's going to have a really good 19 to continue
7.
his lead.
Uh-oh. If you're Germans, close your eyes. It's going to be right to the 100th. 5, he hangs in there. Medal for Johannes Lochner. It got close down there in the bottom. German sleds just don't look like they have the speed. Look at the perplexed look on Leo Leopold's face there. They just don't have the speed, these 4-man sleds, like we're accustomed to. But it's a medal.
It's a medal. And once again, it's early in the season, so you got to wonder what kind of adjustments they're making, what kind of equipment they're testing out to prepare for later.
Tied for 4th yesterday. Won one of the 2-man races last week with a first and then a silver in the other one. And he has to go race off. He's got no spot into the Altenburg World Championships. He's got to go race off against 5 other real capable German athletes. Couple bumps.
Not only is he racing,
look at the heads there in that transition. There, look at their camaraderie.
He'll be racing off, and all of his push athletes as well will be racing off.
Okay, now another formidable sled. Francisco Friedrich, Candy Bauer, Martin Grothkup, Torsten Margus. Margus was not on the brakes yesterday. He was in one of the 2-man sleds last week for Friedrich. Start 4.98 the first run. Their teammates just went 4.97. Wouldn't be surprised if they match it or go better. 5.02. I am surprised at that. 4th best velocity.
Friedrich is definitely not used to not being on the podium, so he's really going to look to put together a good run here.
4th in this event last year, 4th in this event yesterday, tied with Lochner, who was at the bottom, and the leader. This is for a medal.
Had a little trouble through that 6-7 portion. Going to cost him some time, as we see here. Needs to take advantage of these bottom portions of the curve.
Can't lose any more time. Kiebermanis is right behind Lochner. If this is 8-1000s here, he's going to be in trouble. 200s, he's coming back. Best speed. You saw him make the rudder adjustment, the little check there. Let's see if he can find the green numbers on the bottom. He's 100 down.
Going to have a really nice 19-20.
300's back. Oh, he just... What's that saying right there? You think they're excited about beating Friedrich? Look at Rennie Spiess and Leo Leopold look on, the longtime German coaches. Wow, the top 3 sleds are now separated by 0.05 of a second.
You know, anytime you can come down and beat the Olympic champion, you're going to be excited.
Well, they beat him at the start. They beat him by 0.05 at the start. And that's something I was surprised at. Here, this is up in Devil's Highway.
Had a little rough exit of 7, curve 7, but managed to smooth it out into curve 9.
Here, not perfect. Watch the runners. Watch them check the runners. Look, you know, just at the end on the take-on. Francisco Friedrich, well, it's a medal for him. Bronze medal, better than yesterday. How's he feel about going over here and talking to his teammates?
Of course he's excited for it, but I think he'll be really happy.
So much competition in that German camp. Well, let's go up to the top to the guy who's dominated and owned this track. Justin Cripps from Canada, Ryan Sommer, Cameron Stones, Ben Coquell. Good group of athletes here, good athletes. All 4 of them were in the sled last year when he won the event last year. It was the first Canadian gold medal ever on this track in 4-man bobsled. And he backed it up with a victory yesterday. 5:03 start, 0.10 in the lead. Speed in the last, the best velocity. They have a deficient start time, but the best velocity. Canadians are doing a lot of things right in this 4-man competition.
You know, with having the ice house in Calgary, they really work all summer to coordinate those loads and coordinate their pushes to have that start advantage.
Well, 600's what we've seen out of him so far. This should go out to 9 or 10 here at Shady. On the bottom part of the track, he's owned it. Only out to 7, 115.3. Best speed in the second run.
These are really smooth lines. You can tell he's not overdriving. Really just trying to, has a little trouble there, but really just trying to let the sled do his thing.
He flies in the bottom part of the track. Justin Cripps. He has 3 passports. We call him the International Man of Mystery. On this day, there's no mystery the fact that he dominates the Lake Placid track for the 3rd race in a row. He wins going away, 54-63. Germans look on. Wow. Going to be a lot of people looking at how he exits Shady and gets in the bottom part of the track. But what he's done here, the 6 heats, 2 heats last year, 2 heats yesterday, 2 heats today.
He's going to be excited about that, and a great way to go into the Christmas break.
Well, the Germans have somebody to look up to here. You know, this guy's been dominating 2-man events with the Germans, but I think he's finally figured out the big 4-man. You said it takes 8 years. He's 8 years into driving.
And he's figured out the Altenburg track. He's won there before, so he's definitely going to be one of the top contenders going into this year's World Championships.
How about next year's World Championships here in Lake Placid? Put him down as a favorite right now.
Definitely. He's definitely continues to improve in this sport, and it's really impressive to follow his career. Another win for Justin Cripps. Definitely something these Canadian fans coming down from Montreal are really going to be excited about.
Montreal, Ottawa's not too far away. Toronto, a couple old Canadian athletes. Clark Flynn, Mike Booth I saw walking around. Well, the start, they didn't have the best start. They had the best velocity there on the first curve. But bobsledding's about consistency. This guy, he won 4, if not 5 of the 6 heats between last year, yesterday, and today. I think Keeper Mattis had the fastest run of the second heat today, but boy, Cripps is just, he's got the speed on the bottom part of this track. He's got this 4-man dialed in, and if we could make a bet down in Vegas, I'd put him down as the favorite right now for next year's World Championships, if not this year's Worlds in Altenburg.
Definitely. He's always a fierce competitor, going to be one to beat.
Cripps, there's our results. Look how close. Lochner, Friedrich, Hunter Church, 5th place. Great 2 weeks for that young pilot from Katyville. Stolnev made a little comeback for the Russians. Andrianov, 8th. He medaled here last year. Benny Meyer, well, that mishap at the start cost him. He probably would have been up challenging for the top 5. But good racing here from Lake Placid, as we always get, even though the weather was a little suspect. Flags blowing in the breeze. It's been breezy, but hey, when we came out here, we were a little nervous about the weather, but good racing.
Great racing. Definitely nervous about what equipment choices these athletes were going to make, but it seems like it all worked out. Had a little bit more trouble on the track some of them today. We saw a little bit more action through those middle sections of the track. The Devil's Highway proved true to its name. No crashes, though. Really good racing this weekend.
Well, the beauty of this competition, only one crash in a couple weeks of competition. The Russian sled was the first sled down on the women's race, and nobody got crashed out. Everybody's healthy, going back for Christmas. You know, there's been some trepidation over here with these four-man sleds, some crashes in the past, and to see everybody come down clean on this track, testament to the track crew, John Napier and his people. What a fantastic job they've done.
They've done such a great job with this track, and they're really preparing and putting everything together for the World Championships. But not only did they host 2 World Cups, they also hosted the Luge World Cup right before this. So they've done a great job holding this track together.
Thorsten Margus getting interviewed by the WDR people. There's Friedrich in the center. Thorsten wasn't on the sled yesterday, but today maybe the good luck charm. He's a bronze medal. Nice Germans on the podium today. They weren't on the podium yesterday. We don't see that too often.
I don't know
in four-man bobsled.
I don't know the last time I haven't seen Friedrich win a medal. So it's great to see him come back today and win one. Definitely, he's not going to be happy with that 3rd place finish, but to be back on the podium is a good accomplishment. Closing up the shades here, really trying to take care of the track. They've got some passenger runs going on over Christmas break. Everybody gets a chance to come and try bobsled themselves.
No, I bought this one. Fix, I bought this one. This is the shoe.
Welcome back to Lake Placid. The final, here's the World Cup standings. Now Cripps, he's won both events. Lochner's in second, Kiebermanis in third, Friedrich. You're going to see those 4 guys. But look at Cody Bascu's in 5th, Hunter Church in 7th, 2 Americans in the top 7. Very encouraging for the U.S. and the North Americans. Here's the rest of the lineup. But great racing. Lana Myers-Taylor, thank you for coming. 3 months away from delivering your first child. How long is it going to take for you to be back up, getting ready for next season?
Hopefully I'll be back in the sled in April, and if not, I'll be seeing you in October.
Alana, you're unbelievable. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching our IBSF TV crew. We're right on the numbers. Hey, so for John Morgan and all my crew, thanks for watching. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Hi, Mom and Dad. Hi, Bree. Love you.
Well, for the second week in a row, second day in a row, I got out too early. Apologize, everybody, for that. But here's our flower ceremony. You know, there's the Canadians getting used to being in that spot. Yost Matley of the IBSF TV crew. Boy, Lana, I get a chance to ask you about your child. You plan to be sliding a month after you give birth?
Definitely, if I can make it happen. The Lake Placid track, that's one of the beautiful things about this track. It stays open later than anyone in the world, so hopefully I'll be able to make it back up.
Wow. Let's just have a baby and remember, here's our flower ceremony. Great day for the Canadians. I get a chance to congratulate everybody, and Germans not on the leader's box yesterday. So now I can say, great job by the TV crew, everybody. Tough out there in these conditions. Lana, good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be watching next time we see you. You'll have a baby in tow. But well, glad everybody got down safely. Merry Christmas to all the IBSF TV people and our crew and all the athletes. Thanks for the entertainment. So I'm John Morgan. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas to everybody.